I'll call the January 24th, 2023 Plan Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Jinsky here.
Lorick here. David here.
Oldani here.
Seifert here.
Hey, well, get us to the approval of minutes. We actually have two sets, and we will take them separately. So let's start with December 13th, 2022, please. If you take a moment, go way back to then. It's over a month. And if there's any discussion, please take the floor. Questions, comments? If satisfied, entertain a motion.
Seifert moves to approve the minutes of December 13th, 2022.
Clark seconds. Roll call.
Jinsky, aye.
Lorick, aye. Kavich, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Okay. That will get us to more recent minutes of January 10th, 2023. If everybody please take a look at those. When you're satisfied, there's no discussions, error, omissions, corrections. Motion.
Seifert moves to approve the minutes of January 10th, 2023.
Guzikowski will second.
Roll call. Beginning, let's start with Ashley since you just settled in, Christine.
Jinsky, aye.
Clark, aye. Kavich, aye.
Guzikowski, aye. Oldani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Hannah, aye.
And as a note, please let it reflect. Oh, Dawn, sorry, I cut you off. Okay, sorry about that. Let the minutes reflect, Commissioner Hannah is in attendance. We'll get us to item 4, review and discuss report on recent Common Council actions. Carrie?
Council approved the following. An ordinance amending the conditions and restrictions in Ordinance 3015 for the traditional neighborhood development planned unit development on portions of the properties at 9116 South 5th Avenue, 9300 South 5th Avenue, and 4005 East Lake Vista Parkway. Also approved a resolution approving a certified survey map submitted by Fifth Property LLC in the city of Oak Creek for the property at 4301 East Depot Road, and a resolution approving a certified survey map submitted by Connell Aluminum Properties LLC and the city of Oak Creek for the properties at 9100 South 5th Avenue and 4300 East Lake Vista Parkway. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. Item 5, review and discuss report on recent Board of Housing and Zoning Appeal actions. There were none to date. That'll get us to 6, and that's a review and discuss on the report of the recent quarterly Parks and Recreation Commission actions. Carrie?
Parks and Recreation Commission held a meeting in January, earlier this month basically, after a couple of months where it was a little bit difficult to gather a quorum and there wasn't sufficient information in order to proceed with an agenda, so they had a bit to discuss. They approved the 2023 Parks and Recreation proposed fee changes. They did have a little bit of a question about a couple of items on there, so the exception there is pertaining to the Avonshine, Shepherd Hills, and Meadowview Ball Diamonds, and there was a maintenance services section that was on their agenda that they wanted to postpone a review of as well. They reviewed the North Bluff planning study similar to the Plan Commission with the representatives from Edgewater Resources. They had some questions regarding the budget and timeline for the project, and they also apparently had a discussion about what the source of dirt was for the project. So those were the questions that were raised, but overall they were very pleased with the revised plan. They expressed excitement for the project, but no official action was taken, similar to whenever the presentation was made before the Plan Commission. They also reviewed the revisions to the scope for Avonshine Park Pavilion. There was some discussion and expression of opinion regarding that project. It is something that they've been talking about since about 2018, whenever the Avonshine Park Master Park Plan had been redone. So they're very excited for the project to move forward, and a little bit disappointed that we weren't able to make it happen earlier. But no official action was taken on that, either as it was a discussion item. If there are any questions regarding that, I can certainly try and answer them.
Any questions or discussions regarding Park Commission? Comments, Chris, anything? No.
Very neat.
Okay. Yeah, in regards to, the Avonshine Park Pavilion, I think we were all pretty excited about it. And as the report says, it experienced multiple setbacks, not only design, but costs, overall usage as well. So a lot of things have to probably be looked at from a lot of different points of view to make that project feasible for the city. It's not dead by any means, just being reconfigured. Okay, moving on. We will get to 7A, and that is a public hearing for a proposed sign appeal for Brentwood Animal Hospital. It would allow the applicant one wall sign on the southeast elevation of the existing building and one single tenant monument sign. And it is located at 318 West Ryan. Carrie, would you like to officially read that in?
City of Oak Creek notice of public hearing before the Plan Commission. A public hearing for a sign appeal will be held January 24th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Common Council chambers. The appellant is Laura Konopsky of Brentwood Animal Hospital. Tax key is 875-999-4001 at 318 West Ryan Road. The request is in two parts. One for a wall sign, which is a variance from section 170604A1B, which states the maximum permitted sign area of wall signs in the B4, B6, M1, and I1 districts shall not exceed 10% of the face of the wall in which the sign is to be located, or 30 square feet, whichever is more. A variance from section 170604A4A, which states a maximum of one primary wall sign shall be permitted per lot frontage of a single-tenant building. If granted, the variances would allow the applicant to install one 24.25-inch by 364-inch or 61.3 square feet wall sign on the southwest elevation of the existing building at 318 West Ryan Road. The second request is for a monument sign, a variance from section 170604B3, which states number of signs. A maximum of 2 single-tenant monument signs shall be permitted per lot and shall be displayed on different lot frontages. A variance from section 170604B6, which states sign base. The base of single-tenant monument signs, including all structural components, shall extend horizontally from the sign face, a minimum of 10% and a maximum of 25% of the width of the sign face. The base of the single-tenant monument sign shall be constructed from traditional, time and weather-tested materials and techniques, including masonry, stone, or other similar high-quality materials, in keeping with the materials and design of the principal building of the lot. If granted, the variances would allow the applicant to install one single-tenant monument sign with an aluminum-formed shroud and base measuring 141 inches in width on the south side of the property at 318 West Ryan Road. This sign would be in addition to the existing monument sign on the property, and the property has one street frontage. Zoning of the property is B4 Highway Business, CUP, conditional use. All interested persons wishing to be heard are invited to be present. Dated this 4th day of January 2023, Plan Commission, City of Oak Creek. Mayor Dan Bukavich, Chairman. This is a public hearing, and all those wishing to speak on the matter, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and address all comments and questions to the Plan Commission. This hearing is now open. Mr. Mayor, would you like me to give an overview?
Please.
The request is, like I said, in two parts. They have an existing wall sign that was initially installed on the west portion of the building. It's actually kind of the decorative, not really a canopy, but it's a decorative element of the new building. So this would be a second one, and they only have one frontage to display it on, so they need a variance because they're asking for a second wall sign. They're also asking for a second monument sign. They want to retain the existing monument sign that's in front of the old veterinary building that's still on the property. And they only have one street frontage, so they're only allowed to have one. What's proposed is for the wall sign itself, you can tell that the decorative element is kind of slightly disconnected from the rest of the wall, so it does exceed that which would be allowed, that's hard to say, on that particular element, but staff have no concerns for it as presented. And these are the locations of the existing and proposed monument sign. Now, the proposed monument sign was identified in the location as shown whenever the site and building plan review went before the Plan Commission for the new building itself. So there is a landscape plan that's approved on file, but this is what it looks like right now, and there would be an additional monument sign at the other side of the entry drive, essentially. So you've got both directions, east and west, on Ryan Road as it currently stands. And this is the proposed sign that they wish to install in addition to that existing monument sign. And that's the proposed location, how it would look as going westbound, sorry. Overall, the proposed sign, the monument sign, it does meet the code requirements for the size, but the base itself is made out of as it was mentioned, an aluminum shroud, they're calling it. So there's no masonry, and that's something that the Plan Commission needs to consider in the variance request. And then also because the base is, we go back to the design, it doesn't extend the minimum 10% on either side of the sign face. That would be something that the Plan Commission would have to consider in this variance request as well. Staff doesn't make any recommendations regarding sign appeals. The variance considerations are listed on the screen, and decisions to approve a sign variance must be made utilizing the criteria that there shall be no public harm and there shall be a public benefit, and that there are determinations as to conformance with the section of code regarding general sign regulations that were included in your packet. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. As Carrie said, this is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak, please approach the podium, give your name and address, and go from there. First call. Welcome. Just name and address, please.
Sure. I'm Monica Schneider, 2400 Holly Road. I'm from the sign company, and then we also have
Dr. Brad Osgood. I live in Franklin, so do you need my address?
That's okay. We're okay with that. Go ahead. I'll give you the floor. Or if you have questions or just want to make a general statement.
So what she had said, she was very thorough with everything, what we're looking for. Not really looking for anything beyond, just minimal. I'm looking for a secondary wall sign that's going to be on the front facade, kind of the main wall sign. The first wall sign that we had, we really wanted to just do an emblem on the side.
Uses, yeah.
Yep. But we were required to put the letters underneath for the city. That's why we had to do that. So then now we're asking for a second wall sign. And then the second sign we're asking for because of the two buildings. Figuring that there's maybe a second purpose for the other building as well. So we would like to have two signs on the property because there is only one frontage. That's why we're asking for that as well. So if there's any questions, we can answer.
We'll go to the commission now. I'm sorry, I got to make a few calls yet. We'll now make a second call. Anybody wishing to speak on the public hearing, please approach podium.
Mr. Mayor, I do need to disclose that Brentwood Animal Hospital is my vet.
That's okay. I'm sure a lot of people up here might use that vet as well. The testament to the business. Third and final call. Anybody wishing to speak on the sign variance, please approach podium and give the name and address. Okay, we will now close the public hearing and move on to, what number is it? Where's my agenda? 8A, and that is consideration of the request for the sign appeal for Brentwood Animal Hospital that would allow the signs we just talked of in the public hearing. So, let's start us off. Dean?
Yeah, actually, I was just asking Don, why again the difference? Why is the second sign? There is already a big sign out there. I've seen it every time I drive this area, so.
You'll have to be on the microphone.
Talking about the facial sign, or are we talking about the monument sign?
Can you bring back the one on the right that has a big, it says night?
Oh, that's not another sign, that's just the night view of the one that they're proposing.
Oh, okay, I thought that's another one. So the one that says Brentwood, that has 36 by 492, this is the new one?
That's the one that's being proposed.
Okay.
The inset is just the night view of that same sign.
So the first sign is on the west elevation. So it's just a badge with our name underneath it. And the reason we need a second sign in that location is because, quite frankly, our clients are confused about which building you go to. And we've had a number of people say, you know, come to the other, keep going to the older building. And they've thinking that other building was disconnected from us in a way. And so over the last 6 months to a year since we've been open, we've been like, we need something on the front that tells them that this is the new veterinary hospital, basically. So we thought that the badge on the side and the name on the side was gonna be enough, and turns out it has not been, so that's the reason.
I was just gonna ask, what is the reason, but you have answered it already.
Yes.
Okay, and I have disclosed, like, Carrie, you are my vet for my.
Good to hear.
I have no
Dawn?
other question. Do you plan to keep the
Dawn,
second building?
I'm sorry, your mic isn't on.
Better. Do you plan to keep the second building?
We do. Currently, the bottom floor of the building is being used as a boarding facility, so it's still part of that same business. The upper floor may be repurposed by us for a secondary purpose, or we may potentially look to lease it to somebody for another business as well. So,
Okay, so, but if I was going to your business, I would be only going to the new building.
correct. In the
Okay.
current setup, the way it is, all the borders are checked in at the brand new building, the new building.
Okay, so I think, why keep the old monument sign? I guess that's the one I would
Sure.
have you take away, but,
If we should lease that property to somebody or that building to somebody, say we have a pet store there or a training facility there, it would be nice to have some sort of signage that says that's what that building is being used for.
okay, so
Ver-
you want to keep it just in case you rent it
Correct.
for a new tenant?
Correct. I would not, yeah, it would not, we're certainly going to not keep Brentwood Animal Hospital on it. We would probably remove that signage. And what it shows there, you can see in the green and white. I mean, it doesn't serve a purpose for us anymore to have Brentwood on there anymore. But we don't
I
want to
think
tear
it's-
down
I think it's confusing,
it.
you know, because if I had an animal and
Correct.
you know, which one do I go to if that sign is still there?
Correct.
It also doesn't match our signage now,
Sure.
going forward.
I understand that.
So I would suggest that, you know, we remove that one and then whoever you might rent it to
Sure.
comes back
I get
or
it.
for an additional.
Problem is it's capital investments that we made relatively recently, and to tear it down seems kind of foolish to me.
Okay, thank you.
Ashley,
Nothing from engineering.
any comment on which vet you use?
We used to use Brentwood. Yes, we did. We had a dog. Yes, it
Okay. Brad?
So I think most of my questions were answered and everything sounds like it's been addressed with the exception of the base of the monument sign. I know they require masonry. Was that looked at and was it a cost savings or was it not even looked at
I was
yet?
not made aware of that, so
Okay.
this is,
Could you pull up the building so they can see? it looks just like the building.
Little brick on the bottom.
Okay. But yeah, the building sign, I have no issues with. I understand the reason for keeping the other signs, so. That'd be all the questions I have.
Thank you, Greg. Chris?
Well, I currently don't have any pets. But when we did, boy, we went to Brentwood for everything. You know, I don't, looking at the options here, I can understand how you want to set yourself up for selling the, or possibly leasing the other place, or other buildings, so, I don't have a real hardship with this, and, in fact, it'd be very confusing to me if I was trying to find a building the first time and not knowing which building to go to, so I don't really, have any opposition.
Okay, Don?
So, Carrie, is it possible to set a future review date on the existing sign, the old sign? And where I'm going with that is, after, say, 1 year, you might have a better idea, like, you know what, we're hanging on to this building, we're gonna repurpose it. And at that point, we can do a review and say, all right, well, it's time to, you know, update that sign to match the rest of the other sign in the new building. And if you want to add, you know, the boarding house, if you use it for just for something like that. I understand you're still kind of trying to figure out what you're going to do with that, so I'm okay with it as is.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm asking after, you know, 1 year, some kind of review of that existing, I'm just throwing a year out arbitrarily. Using, you know, some kind of review, like what are you guys doing with that sign? If you're not gonna, you know, lease the building and you plan on utilizing the whole building permanently, let's talk about, you know, what that sign should look like going forward.
Is that because they would have 2 monument signs there?
You would have 2 monument signs, you know, they wouldn't be matching, and if that sign, you could use that sign to designate what that building's for at that point. If you use it, say, like I said, if it's just gonna be a boarding house, you can update the sign, to either with the colors match your new existing building and the other sign, and add, you know, boarding house, boarding building, whatever.
So,
Mhm.
2 answers. One, we have to have the plan commission review the variances for tonight, and I don't know that we can attach conditions for an existing sign that's not on the agenda. That,
Okay,
understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I can completely appreciate what you're saying. But the variance request is for this additional sign. There is an option for a multi-tenant monument sign to be constructed on the property and just have the secondary tenant not be displayed until something happens with the building, or if you decide to do something different with the building, just have the additional information on there and then eliminate that other sign. But again, what we're hearing is they just recently, within probably the last 10, 15 years, invested in that new sign. So it's kind of a cost savings there. So it's just a matter of, the Plan Commission has one option before you as far as the request is concerned, and it's up to you to determine whether or not you wish to grant all the variances for it.
yeah, I'm not interested in, you know, having them change their plans to the existing sign. I would like to see them back in a year and we say, hey, what's going on with that sign, the existing sign? What are you in that building? So we can kind of, I'm sure they would like to have, you know, everything. You could tell they put some thought in this new building. It looks sharp. I like the new monument sign. Just maybe in the future, I don't know how we ensure that, as opposed to a friendly ask. Come on back in a year, give us an update, or work with staff. What do you plan on doing with that building a year from now? And like, you know, your plans may change greatly. Who knows? I guess I'm asking to keep that in mind. Let's not, you know, 5 years later we still have that green sign there, unless of course you lease it out. And I guess that's my ask. Otherwise, all the plans, I'm perfectly fine with the plans.
There is one other section of code that does say that if the business vacates, we understand what's going on with the property, but if the business vacates, within a certain time frame, the sign actually needs to come down. That's actually more geared toward wall signs, but it probably also is for monument signs as well. So if the lettering comes off or is, what's the word I'm looking for, covered up within a certain time frame, that's also an option.
In a sale situation, are you talking about if they sell that building?
No,
or-
it's for disuse.
Okay.
So discontinuance of that particular building for the overall vet. Now, you may still be using it for certain purposes, but because the actual veterinary services are in the new building, if you covered up that sign within a certain time frame per code, that would also be,
I appreciate all the I'm not interested in in stringing them on anything. Just I guess it's just an ask, a friendly ask. Come on back in a year if you feel like you're doing something permanent with that. Let's talk about updating the sign for I'm sure that'd be great to have that building have its own sign and what it's designated for. Obviously, if you do lease it, that takes care of it. The business is going to want that sign changed. But if you long term plan on using that building, for sure, let's come back and talk about what you're going to do with that sign.
In response to that, my idea is that what's going to happen with that building is going to be fleshed out over the next year to 2 years.
Okay.
Right now we've got a $4 million building there that capital, and so it's one of those things where, we're kind of slow playing it a little bit just now because we're trying to get our feet under after
Right.
that investment. So
Okay. Just keep working with staff, I guess. Thanks.
All right. Fred?
Well, my questions have been answered, so I'm done.
Okay. I'll just throw my comments in there very quickly. I've had the pleasure of touring it at the ribbon cutting. It's a fabulous facility. It's obvious they match a sign to the building with the wood, the whole deal. I'm all for it. Quite frankly, the monument signs needed. I knew where the business was. I was on my motorcycle. I took a U-turn. I made it. If you're coming down, you'd overshoot it. I don't have any heartburn with the extra signs, quite frankly. Till the building's figured out and done. There's no reason to tear that thing down, cover it up. This has been a great business partnership here for 25 years. I think we can work through the bumps that go on. If it becomes a boarding school, and quite frankly, I don't think every monument sign has to match either, because the one they're putting in is specific to the building they're using. This one they put in, and that was specific for their uses there. It wasn't a bad sign. Quite frankly, one monument sign would cancel the other that close together. So, as Carrie said, you'd probably have to go to a multiple sign, but I'm okay with the way it is, with what's being proposed here tonight. Any further discussions, questions? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? I was going to ask if fire had a problem. Now they're going to hose it all down.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Mike Avey, Assistant Chief of Fire. Due to the uniqueness of, there's two structures that share one address, the 318. They've been divided out by suites. So we just ask that the signs in the buildings just get delineated out so that for emergency services and for inspection services and records management, that the suites are identified with the monument signs and the buildings. That is all listed in their questions.
That would be a planning aspect, I believe.
it's just a matter of adding the suite number on the sign for the vinyl.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Now, if there's nothing further, motion on 8A.
Seifert moves that the planning commission approves the sign variances allowing the installation of one 24.25-inch by 364-inch wall sign on the southwest elevation of the existing building, one single tenant mounted sign with an aluminum formed shroud and base measuring 141 inches in width on the south side of the property at 318 West Ryan Road.
Clark seconds.
Roll call, beginning with Ashley.
Jinsky, aye.
Lorik, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Oldani, aye.
Seepert, aye.
Hannah, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Okay, and just a note, when I did go to the ribbon cutting, I got a tour of the facility, very impressive facility of everything that's being done. Very impressive, and one of the more impressive things, kind of off the record, Dr. Brad probably had the uniquest cake I've ever seen at a ribbon cutting. It was actually him and his brother done in cake. It was really cool. Congratulations on the
Thank you
building.
guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. It's made a cake. It was made a cake. It was really cool. So, okay, that will get us to 8B, and that's a plan review, site building and related plans for Duncan, the Duncan for the Cardo Group, for the exterior modifications of a drive-through canopy with a menu board, directional sign on the property at 2345 West Ryan. Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things going on, but it's all relevant to the tenant at the corner there, which is Dunkin' Donuts. Current zoning of the property is B4 PUD. The PUD section doesn't actually come into this, so we're really just talking about base zoning at this point. The main items for this particular review request are for the menu board with the canopy and for the exterior building modifications. Your original packets had a clearance bar that was also included. That was removed, so the plans that were received and presented to you just before the meeting started, those have been updated to incorporate the utility easement that's on the south end of the building and also to remove that clearance bar. There is one directional sign that has been proposed, and there are also pavement markings for the drive-through. So what's on the sign, or what's on the screen right now, is the proposed site plan. This is the updated site plan. In the blue box is the one directional sign, and that's to help identify where the entry to the drive-through is. This is a parcel that has two entrances, two drives off of Ryan Road, one of which is actually shared with the property to the east. That property also happens to have a drive-through, so there are pavement markings indicating where you would go to get to the drive-through for Dunkin' Donuts. It's not part of this review because it's just pavement marking. The drive-through is existing, so we don't need to worry about that particular situation. The menu board and the order canopy are going to be in the exact same location that they are now. The order canopy was actually not necessarily approved by the Plan Commission, as was the case with the addition for a walk-in cooler, which happened somewhere between 2010 and 2013, but we're rolling it all into this review right now. This order canopy is incorporating what would typically be seen as kind of like a separate little box, but all in one structure. Then the digital menu board is actually behind that. No issues with the size or the height of either of these. The location appears to be outside of that easement as well. Just need to make sure that they stay out of there. Turning to the existing elevation, what is in yellow, highlighted in yellow, if you can barely see that, that was the addition for the walk-in cooler freezer that happened at some point between 2010 and 2013. Staff had no real concerns for it. It's there. There's nothing that we can do in terms of design or location or anything like that. If it had come before the Plan Commission back whenever it was proposed to be installed, prior to being installed, it would have been noted that the easement was there, but there's, like I said, nothing we can do about it now. With regard to the exterior building modifications, the canopies are going to be replaced with something a little bit more modern, and the paint is going to be updated for the sign areas, and the gooseneck lights are going to be removed. So this is what's being proposed. The signs are not part of this review because they're going through the permitting process, and they have been amended to comply with the existing master sign plan for this particular property. This is the proposed and existing north elevation. You can see that the paint is being updated, as are the canopies and the lights being removed. So with the clearance bar being removed, condition number 2 has also been removed. So when the Plan Commission makes a consideration, the suggested motion that's on the screen has been updated for your consideration for this particular item. I believe that is incorporating everything that has been included in the report. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Carrie. Would the applicant like to say a few words, or you just want to wait on questions, sir? Okay, we'll go right to the commission then. Brad, you want to start us off this time?
Yeah, I just have one question. I noticed only one handicap spot. Is that sufficient for you, for your parking lot?
Yeah, it's sufficient. It's been working the way it has been. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. My name is Stephen Colber, 828 Davis Street, Evanston, Illinois. We're the architects for the project. The existing parking, we did not fool with that at all, and it's never been brought to our attention that there's issues with the parking or handicap amount of parking.
Thought I'd ask.
Certainly.
Okay. Don, anything?
No, no questions. I'm always up for, getting everything updated and looking good. I'm fine with everything.
Okay. Chris?
I agree, everything looks
Greg?
I have no questions.
Ashley?
No questions.
Nothing for me. Nothing here.
Okay.
Best plan commission ever.
Yeah. No, you're not done. You still got me and you got fire. Is there anything from fire on this particular one? Mike's saying no. I have nothing either. I agree with the commissioner. Updating is good and it's a really viable business. I mean, country runs on Dunkin'. We need to keep it up.
And to be clear, this is just so the commissioners and your honor understand it's part of a whole remodel. The interior is being remodeled to be updated to the new Duncan standard as well.
Very good. So,
I did have a question, actually.
yes, Carrie.
Since the exterior remodel is just for this particular end cap tenant and it is incorporating different paint than the rest of the building, do you know if the landowner has any intention of making the rest of the building kind of look the same as this end cap?
I do not know. We presented what we were doing for the Duncan to the landlord, but we haven't heard any comments on what his intentions were for future remodel.
More of a curiosity, thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no further discussion, motion on 8B.
Clerk moves to approve the site and building plans submitted by Cardo Rasha Duncan, the Cardo Group, for exterior building modifications, a drive-through canopy with menu board and directional sign on the property at 2345 West Ryan Road with the following conditions. Number 1, that all relevant code requirements are in effect. 2, canopy lights shall not exceed 25-foot candles and shall be fully non-surface mounted or recessed per section 17.0509 sub B sub 1 sub J. And 3, that all revised plans, site, building, landscaping, etc. are submitted in digital format for review by the Department of Community Development prior to submission of building permit applications.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call, beginning with Greg.
Lorick, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Ladani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Anna, I. Grillo, I.
Shinsky, aye.
Okay. That will get us to adjournment. So the universe is back in place. Carrillo's there to adjourn. So
Yes. Who did it last time?
I did.
Carrillo moves to adjourn at 6:39.
Seifert seconds.
roll call, beginning with me. Aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Ladani, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Anna, I.
Grillo, aye.
Shinsky, aye.
Lorick, aye.
Excuse me, who made the second?
Fred,
Fred, thank you.
where do we leave off? Bukevich, aye. I started it. Never mind. Okay, we're all done.